Hello, everybody. Chef Dan Witherspoon here from the Seasoned Chef Cooking School. If you are viewing this video, it means you have signed up for one of our online classes or private events, and this is a precursor to everything we teach. As a school, for many years, we've been doing hands-on workshops, and before we start any workshop, we always talk about safety and knife skills. This can often take 8 to 10 minutes or sometimes more if there's questions. Um, so in order to make all of our future classes more streamlined, we're encouraging you very much to watch this first so that when you're cooking along with the chef, we do not have to address safety and knife skills. That's what we're talking about here. So please view this, and remember, you get to keep this and you can refer to it anytime you like. Two basic ideas: safety, knife skills. We're talking safety first, some basic kitchen safety. There are three things you want to remember: heat, travel, and knife. Those are your 3 points. So heat is the first thing. This is your hot pad of choice: a dry, double, or even triple folded terry cloth towel. The dry, double folded, triple folded terry cloth towel is a better hot pad than a regular little square hot pad or anything else you might use. Chefs don't like mittens on their hands to remove, want to be able to have something they can grab. The basic idea is this: if you are going to grab the handle of any pot or pan, you want to have that dry, double folded terry cloth in your towel, and you want to cradle that handle with the towel. The chances of that handle being hot are extreme, and burning yourself with a hot handle is what we're really wanting to encourage you to avoid. So remember, that's the basic grip, whether you're on the stove or whatever you're doing, especially something in and out of the oven. So always grab it from underneath with your dry, double folded terry cloth towel. Couple things: if you have something in the oven, it's not a bad idea to just hook your towel on an apron string, and that's why I get aprons with really long strings so I can get all the way around myself, and have it handy so you know where your hot pad is. If you're very busy in the kitchen and you didn't remember to set your hot pad right by your stove or oven, you may be looking around for it, and it may be time to get something out. So just knowing where your towel is a big thing. Last thing about this, and very important, is any moisture. Getting moisture on your towel turns it into a cleaning rag instead of a hot pad. The bottom line is this: steam and water itself is an excellent heat conductor. You get any moisture on the towel, as soon as you touch something hot with a damp towel, you will have instant steam, and that steam will burn your hand really quickly. So moist towels are a danger. They're to be avoided, and the thicker you fold your towel, the safer. If you have gas burners, another reason to fold your towel is you don't want to be cooking like this, because that towel will ignite. And yes, I've burned quite a few towels in this lifetime. So safety for heat: know where your towel is, use it constantly. Don't be surprised to see me with 2 or even 3 towels out every time I'm cooking for safety. Okay, next, travel. If you're cooking with more than one other person in the kitchen, travel becomes a significant problem, because in the basic kitchen, when people are cooking, they're at their cutting board. That's where you're doing 80% of your activity. Well, to travel through a kitchen is an important thing. I've got to go to one place to go to my fridge. I've got to cross the room to go to my stove. I've got my sink over here. I've got my dishwasher over there. My kitchen here at my home is wonderfully compact, and it's only really designed for one person. That's not going to be the case for your kitchen. So what's going to happen is you're going to be traveling behind people, and that's a constant problem when you are working with other people, because when you walk behind somebody, you are completely out of their field of view. They don't know you're there unless they're psychic, and I'm not, or they have eyes in the back of their head, which I've been accused of. However, the most important thing is realize that that's the problem. So anytime you walk behind somebody in any kitchen, let them know you're there. I'm behind you are the 3 most commonly uttered words in the food service industry. You could be carrying some nice food that's already prepared. You could be carrying a hot pot or a pan. You could be carrying a sharp knife or other implement. And that's the danger. If you think you can sneak past them, that's the one time they turn around into you, and that's the accident. So you're carrying something hot, sharp, or delicious. They're turning around into you with something hot, sharp, or delicious. Somebody's going to get cut, somebody's going to get burned, or some really wonderful food's going to fall on the floor. So be very conscious about your travel through the kitchen as soon as there's more than one person in it. Obviously, this is not as big of a factor in the family home when there's maybe 2 or 3, but it is a factor compared to a cooking class where we often have 18 people all cooking together. But be aware that travel through a kitchen is a major safety concern. So think twice before you stroll. Last is knife safety. And of course, we're going to be talking about this particular tool in just a minute. But a few things to remember about knife safety. And number one, of course, never try to catch a falling knife. You see the knife start falling, get out of the way, let it fall, pick it up, wash it, get back to work. Don't try to catch it. Basically, the math of it all works like this. You have about a 5% chance of grabbing the handle. You have about a 95% chance of grabbing the blade. And believe me, going to the emergency room to get stitches really slows down the cooking process. So just let the darn thing fall. In my case, my knife is a good, solid, expensive knife. I'm not worried about the knife falling. I'm worried about the floor. It'll put a hole in my floor. I don't care about that. I'd rather a hole in the floor than a hole in my hand. Let it fall. Number two, the knife is only in your hand when you're cutting. It's an amazing tool. It's got a long history, but all it does is cut. So don't use it for anything else. Don't point with it. Don't talk with it. And don't wander through the kitchen with it when there's other people around. These are always, as you can see, really dumb activities that really increase the danger in the kitchen. So only have it in your hand when you're cutting. And when you're not cutting, this is a great place to put it, at the top of the board, away from the edge, less chance of falling. Everything you do on the cutting board besides cutting can be done with a bench scraper. Obviously, in this day and age, this isn't something you might have on hand, but there's a lot of simple substitutions. You could use a spatula these days if you don't have one of these. When we do cooking classes at the school, we always provide bench scrapers, nicely logoed for marketing purposes. But these will do a couple of things very important. Number one, clean up trash. Keep your trash can handy. I always pull my trash can out of my storage area, have it out when I'm cooking. So if I want to clean up some onion skin or some garlic peels or whatever else I might have to clean up, I can use the bench scraper and that'll be safe. If I've got some vegetables cut up on the board, I can use the bench scraper to pick them up and transport it to bowls or to a pan or whatever. So again, if you have one of these, great, make good use of it. I don't start cooking until I have both my knife and my bench scraper out and on my cutting board ready to go. So next, as soon as you add more people to the kitchen, wandering around with a knife is dangerous. Anything outside the cutting board is a bad idea. So I always like to say, keep the cutting board under your knife at all times. Don't let the knife leave the board. Don't let it wander. Keep it nice and in there, especially when there's other people working with you. If there are more than one person in the kitchen, each person should have their own knife, their own board, and hopefully their own bench scraper. So as I like to say, one knife, one board, one person. Sharing a knife, sharing a cutting board is a dangerous activity. Two knives on one board, somebody's going to get stabbed in the hand. Or I like to say, two knives on one board equals 5 stitches. So keep that math in mind and remember that's a really bad idea. Hopefully everybody who has more than one cook in the house has more than one knife and more than one board. Last but not least, with safety, be very conscious about traveling with your knife. It should only travel when it has to, and really there's only 2 places it should travel: the drawer that you store it in and the sink to wash it. Don't put it in your dishwasher. That can really hurt the knife. It can really hurt you, and if it moves around in there. The chlorine in the soap isn't really good for your knife. So keep that in mind and just minimize travel. So if you are traveling, it travels here. Point down, edge of the back, right by your side, not here, where I'm safe, but everybody else in the kitchen is not. That's what we're trying to avoid. Safety in the kitchen is a first, last, and always thing. Safety is always going on. It's never neglected, because the one time you stop thinking about it is the one time the accidents happen. And of course, we want you to be safe, because that really makes the whole experience more enjoyable. Okay, knife skills. We have done a full-on knife skills workshop about a week and a half ago. We could condense that for future use, but right now the most important thing is knowing at least how to move forward with a knife for upcoming classes. This design is called the chef knife, nice and generic title. And really the main thing, regardless of the various shapes that come in, it has one simple feature. It allows you to cut all the way through anything without hitting your knuckles on the cutting board. If you look at other knives, for example, a boning knife, you'll realize that that's not the case. This is for work between meat and bone. It's not for work on the cutting board. It's for other work. This knife, the chef knife, is the knife designed for work on the cutting board, because you don't hit your knuckles when you're cutting. Comes in a lot of different shapes, on Tuco designs, etc., and so on, but this is the basic function, and this is what we want you to get comfortable with. So the grip is called pinch and wrap. Pinch where the handle meets the blade with the thumb and index finger. Wrap the hand around. That gives you nice leverage, strength, and control. Most knives are balanced right where the handle meets the blade. So this pinch and wrap idea helps you surround the balance point of the knife. When you're in a good, comfortable spot, you'll know you have it right if the pad of your index finger is on the back of the handle. That's the motion. It dives in. The hand gets above the knife and the knife slides forward. That's what the knife is designed to do. Rock through. It's called rock. In fact, this curve is called the rocker. And that's what we're looking to do. So the way I do this is I stand square to the board. I set the knife in a nice 45-degree angle, and I do this. That is 85 to 90% of all the cutting you're going to do. Very little variation to that, and we'll just show you one in just a minute. This is important, but it's not the most important. The most important thing is what happens to this hand, the hand that's going to hold the product and keep it in place. And it's going to be very close to the knife, so let's take good care of it. And it's called the claw. This is the shape. You can practice by holding a tennis ball, an onion, a tomato, anything. The bottom line is that's what it looks like. All 5 fingernails slightly curled in. So when you drop it on the product, and let's go ahead and get a little closer in, we'll keep it close in for the rest of this. That's how it's going to sit. All 5 fingernails are in contact with the product, and the middle finger is the one closest to the knife. You want a good straight line from your elbow to your finger, middle finger, and this is the position. There is no other basic position. Everything else is more dangerous. So what it's going to look like is there's your claw, there's your cut. There's your claw, there's your cut. The features is it sits above the product and the knife moves away from it. You don't want to cut like this. This is like cutting a bagel or taking the seed out of an avocado. In both cases, you have the product between your hand and the knife, and the knife's going through the product towards your hand. So never have the knife pointed at your hand, and that's why this is important. So smaller things, bigger things, the claw adjusts, but it always sits on top. Use your fingernails, dig in, and make it work. Here's our basic cut. We're going to take our zucchini, and we're going to take 1 slice off. And I want 1/4 inch thick for this application. I can cut any thickness I want, but I just want to use this as a generic. And now I lay it flat, and then I just cut my desired thickness. That's the desired thickness. This is about 1/4 inch for today. Again, if I was cooking something else, I'd make them bigger or smaller. Line them all up, and then make sticks. And those sticks, don't worry about it sticking to your knife. That'll keep falling off. And now my sticks are 1/4 inch. And if I was making fajitas, that might be the desired size. But the last thing that the claw really can help with is you can take that entire bundle and hold it like this over the top, and you can push forward. So the claw is not only keeping your hand safe by keeping it curled away from the knife and on top, but it's also giving you a chance to hold that bundle and cut all those vegetables up. And there you go. The 3 things we're always focused on are safety, consistency, and efficiency. Safety first, right? no blood. Consistency second, things the same size so they cook evenly. And third, of course, efficiency. Don't go fast, just don't waste motion. That's how most of my cutting is done. I do like to focus on the onion because this is the vegetable you're probably going to use more than any other. So let's make sure we understand that. There's the root end, kind of a little hairy. There's the top. Onions grow at ground level. So we're going to call the top the North Pole and the bottom the South Pole, and this would be the equator. For an onion, never cut the onion across the equator unless specifically instructed by the recipe. What we're going to do is hold the claw, and we're going to cut off the Arctic Circle, and then lay it flat. Now we don't have a rock. Always lay flat when you can to keep things from rolling around. Lay it flat. Cut it right through the South Pole, and then peel it. So just take a second. I'm going to really just maul it to get the skin off quickly. So bear with me. Okay, there we go. I'm leaving most of the root end intact. If you want to cut a little bit of that away when you're doing your cutting so it's a little cleaner, that's fine. But we're using it intact today as a visual aid. So sliced onion, cut off the root end, discard it. Notice the cutting board is clean. Claw, push forward, dive in, practice. This skill does take practice. It's going to get tall, so lay it down and finish your cut. Basic sliced onions, basic cutting. Okay. The last but not least for our little demo today, and please refer to this as often as you need to, and if you're really having troubles, don't hesitate to shoot us an email. But here's the last thing we're showing you today, dicing an onion. Again, watch this, watch it on YouTube, have some fun with it, but it's very important. There's my basic setup, like we've been doing. Proper knife grip, proper claw, but here's the one-off. I'm gonna pull the knife towards me, away from the root end, because on this application, I kept the root end intact. So the onion's held together by the root end. I'm gonna hold my hand on top parallel to knife and balance my sides. And then I'm gonna do it again on a big onion, because I got a big onion. Smaller onion, only have to cut it once. And then there's my claw. Let's just put this guy back in there to look cool. There's my claw, there's my root end. Push forward in 1/4 inch dice, or any size you want. And when it gets tall, lay it down. And there's your diced onions, safely, efficiently, and consistently. With a little bit of practice, it becomes automatic. And it is a very important precursor to every class we do. So what we want you to do is video this before your class, whenever you can. Practice as much as you can with your basic vegetables. Get ready to apply this skill to all the other cutting you're going to be doing in your class. And we look forward to having you in one of our upcoming online classes real soon. So this is a completely unedited video. If any part where I stuttered or I uttered a weird word, get over it, because we're live and we just want you to know that we care about you. We care about the success of your cooking at home. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in class. Bye-bye.